the journey of 16 trainees as they learn what it takes to protect New Zealand's precious marine wildlife. As part of teams exploring for the valuable natural resources that lie beneath our ocean floor. Find out their stories and how they are using new skills to create vital connections, empowering Māori communities to play a key role in protecting and managing our environment.
To go back to the very beginning, if you went back 20 years even, you'd be hard-pressed to find any sort of industrial activity on the water throughout the world where they were requiring observers of any sort, other than perhaps fisheries observers, but even those. So even though there was legislation in New Zealand and other parts of the world which require protection of marine mammals, there wasn't much of a recognition at that point that things like loud noises in the water can actually have an impact on those animals. So over time there's been a sort of growing recognition that perhaps a conservative approach would be to put in some measures that would require the vessels to stop producing noise if there are animals nearby. How then do you ensure that people are doing what they're meant to do out on the water other than by having independent observers on board? In New Zealand, that's sort of grown from 2006 was the first time that the Department of Conservation put together a voluntary code of conduct. And that was done in conjunction with industry, but it was pretty rudimentary, which really just reflects the lack of knowledge and understanding at the time.
One more silver line, I think.
By 2008 or 9, there were some marine mammal sanctuaries that had been created around New Zealand for specific species that were of concern. Which included regulations on seismic surveying and required the use of observers. So that was the first time where there was actually a regulatory requirement to have somebody on board. By 2011, the department had recognized that really what we were working to was out of date with respect to the code of conduct. So we went through a full-scale, it's hard to call it a revision, it was really a rewrite of the code. Which developed it into something substantially more significant with requirements for not only marine mammal observers but also acoustic monitoring, which was the first time anywhere in the world that a national requirement had been put forward that stated that anyone undertaking a survey had to have acoustic monitoring as well. In 2012 then the new code, the revised code, was released. And it was slightly revised in 2013 when it came into regulatory effect under the new regulations that were put into force under the EEZ Act. So that was the point at 2013 where we really had a robust code that was required by regulatory effect. And part of that is having these marine mammal observers on board. They're essentially the eyes and ears to make sure that whatever the code says should be done is actually what is being done on the water.